Tom, fourth year, congratulations. The same leadership group as last year. Do you feel apart from Cameron, you've got the mix right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really privileged to wear the number one again and lead the boys alongside Darcy and Ollie, and we've also got a strong contingent of emerging leaders beneath that are doing some great work with Nathan Bassett to develop their leadership skills. So they're going to be able to fill our shoes in the future.
Was there any contemplation of bringing in another one, like maybe one of the younger ones to the main group?
Yeah, I'm sure there was, but I think at the moment, Darce, Ollie and I probably shoulder most of the responsibility, and we're grooming the next batch, and we reach out to them on particular issues and start to give them some responsibility, and at the same time we still draw some help from Robbie and Boki and the boys above us, and all of the experience they've had in their 13 or 14 years here as well.
Who do you go to, Teach?
Sorry,
when you talk about the younger guys, who do you go to?
I think the ones that you naturally gravitate to are the Dersmers, Butters, Rosie. They're playing really strong footy now, so they can start to think about others as well, aside from their game, because they're really well established. And then Dan Houston, Orazio Fantasia's really sociable and really team first thinkers, so they're the ones that sort of make up that group. Carl Eamon's softly spoken but really strong-willed and can stand up for what he believes in, and has been a really outstanding performer for us as well.
And could you just talk to us maybe about an issue or two that you consult them on? Like, is it training standards? Is it just the way you want to approach football? What would you talk to the group about?
Yeah, it tends to vary, but I think if you look back over the last 2 years, it's sort of the management of COVID and our schedule and getting that balance away from the club and in at the club, and how that impacts them, because obviously I'm in a different stage of my life to what they are, and a lot of them are Victorian boys as well, so we can canvass their opinions and how they feel and what we can do to make the Port Adelaide Footy Club a really positive place for them to be and get the most out of them.
Is there ever any doubt in your mind that you're the right man to go again this year? Clubs sometimes turn them over, captains. Other clubs have them for 9 years, or as Pendles was today. Where are you at?
Yeah, I suppose that decision comes down to the playing group and coaching group more than anything. If they've got faith in me to lead the club forward, then I'm more than happy to do it. It's an absolute privilege. I'm comfortable in the position I am, and I obviously want to lead this group to a premiership. That's our goal, and until they kick me out, or I feel like I'm not able to execute the job at a high enough standard, or that someone can do it better than me, it's an honour to fill the number one spot.
How have you changed as a captain in the last 4 years?
Yeah, I've probably banged on about it a bit, but I've grown my empathy and my ability to connect with the whole group and see things from their perspective, to deliver a message in a variety of ways rather than just hard and firm. And I think probably being a dad's mellowed me a little bit as well.
Is that a struggle for you early? You see the hard-nosed, no compromising defender. Is that a little bit how you were early on? Not so much anymore with the leadership stuff?
Probably a little bit, and also people had that perception of me as well, so I had to probably overcompensate a little bit to change that. But I think it's been great for my leadership development, and I've had some great support around me with Kenny, Chief, Bass, and then Ollie and Darce's support's been fantastic, and obviously Hamish is not here anymore. They've all made me a better leader.
As a captain, how have you actually addressed the horror end for last season?
I think it was really important that we acknowledged that game and that we got badly beaten. Obviously, they're a team we're likely to come up against if we get to the pointy end again this year. So we've got to work out a way to beat the best teams in the comp, and generally we were beaten around the ball against those teams. So we've acknowledged that. We're not going to hide from it, but now it's 2022 and we're just looking forward.
Did you, as captain though, do anything specifically in terms of getting around the playing group or addressing that game?
No.
What do they like with that game? Is it club, you, Ken, anything you guys have to watch it? You review that one after, even the back end of last season at the start of this season?
Yeah, so before we broke up at the end of the last year, we watched some edits from it. We didn't sit down and watch 120 minutes of footy, and we identified, that we got beaten badly around the ball, that they were better than us from the word go. And then this year it's going to be a matter of learning from some of the stuff we didn't do so well in that game, but also realising that we put in a bank of really good work for the majority of last year, and then we're going to have a whole bank of performances moving forward as of Friday when we play the intra-club, where we can look at and review from there as well.
As the uncompromising captain, are you the sort of bloke that sits there and goes, I have to watch this, sit through it all, or are you the bloke that encourages other people to sit through it all and go, and we need to watch this so we don't do it again?
Not necessarily. I think leadership today isn't a one-size-fits-all, so there's different people manage things in a different way. I watched it more out of a little bit of closure, so I wanted to look back and see where we could improve, but also sort of use it as a full stop. But everyone deals with it differently. I think the important thing is that we have acknowledged that we're going to learn from it, but it's not going to be defining for us.
So if I'm a fan watching the Port Adelaide Footy Club, what am I going to see differently in 2022 as opposed to, say, the back end of last season, in the regards you just spoke about?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a very similar Port Adelaide Footy Club. We will tinker with our mix around the ball. You'll see some new blood through there, and I think you might see some really exciting ball movement as well. We've probably lifted that a touch, but we'll also focus on those big games and those big moments, being able to really solidify our structures around the stoppage, around the contest, to make sure we don't get beaten there.
How important is Friday then in that regard for some players, or is it more the games against other clubs can probably tell you a bit more than playing against yourself?
I think it's more the games against other clubs. I think Friday's a bit different for everybody. There's some blokes that just want to blow the cobwebs out, and then others are looking for a potential opportunity to put their hand up for the Gold Coast game and then round one. So I think the focus from our group is to be a great teammate and play a selfless brand of footy, and that'll find you with an opportunity going into the 2022 season.
Has he had surgery, do you know? Do you have an update on how he's going?
Yeah, so Raz is heading to Victoria to have his knee sorted out. So hopefully he comes back and that all goes well, he can jump into his rehab and we'll have him back sooner rather than later.
Just jumping back a bit, you talked about moving forward. How do you make sure that the scars don't linger from that game?
I think that's something that you never truly know. The mental space is the great unknown in basically life, but predominantly sport. So we've got a mindfulness coach that we work really close with. Nathan Bassett's taken on some of the emergent leadership responsibility and bringing some resources into that space. But I think we can just focus on now and getting a really strong bank of training under our belt, having a really strong hit out in the intra-club and just taking it 1 week at a time.
Back six has been pretty solid for 3-4 years now without too many ins or outs. For Australian last year, you foresee a whole lot changing this year, whether it be young or a recruit like Skinner?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really strong competition for spots. I don't know how much training you guys are seeing, but Sam Skinner's looking really good. There might be a look to move Dan Houston or Riley Bonner around the ball or at a wing at some stage. And then you've got more development to the likes of Lockie Jones. Miles Bergen's going to come back from injury. So there's going to be some versatility and some challenges to spots. Obviously, Tommy Cleary was left out of the team for the majority of last year. He's had a terrific pre-season as well.
Yeah. If Sam comes in and is as good as you guys have all been saying he's been going, and then you add in the Collins and the Elias,
I might be in a bit of strife.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying, when does the captain look over his shoulder? When does everyone look over their shoulder?
Well, I think you should always be looking over your shoulder, and that's why we feel like we've maintained such a high standard, because we've had that pressure from below. There's been really strong performances from the Magpies, rapid growth and development from our younger players, and they keep you on your toes, knowing that if you don't perform consistently often enough, that someone's going to replace you.
And how's Darcy Ben Jones going? He was a bit of a quieter year. Could we confidently be back to his All-Australian form? How's he been training?
Yeah, he's pretty unflappable, Darcy. He just goes about his business. He's training at a really high standard, and I expect him to have a great year this year.
What's Chad brought to the defensive group, obviously, coming on board now?
Yeah, you could probably tell me what Chad's brought to our group. He coaches the way he played. He's really passionate. He's got a great emphasis on toughness, but he's also great in the connection space. He's really easy to converse and learn from, whether he's delivering a message that it's not good enough or that he liked what you did there. So he's going to be a great addition to our backline.
Is there any players who aren't going to play on Friday outside of like the obvious ones like Gibson and Raz?
I think at this stage we've pretty well got a full complement of players to pick from. So there may be players that are managed for portions of that game, and there may be blokes that sit out. But to be honest, I can't tell you at this stage. I think it's really just Orazio, Charlie, and probably Hugh Jackson that are missing. Oh, and Trent Dumont, sorry.
Some nice moments again from Sin this morning. There was some talk of him working with the midfield group. Is he most likely to be in there, would you say, this season, or with you guys across half-back?
Yeah, you have to ask Kenny that one, but I think from my experience, generally the new draft picks sort of start at half forward or half back. They find their feet, and then as they sort of bulk up and learn the game a bit better, they get pushed through the midfield. So I think that's what's likely to happen with him.
Just a word on him and what you've seen of him this summer?
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen the highlight reel from when he got picked up. He's great athletic profile and really dangerous left foot, and I'm probably most impressed by his eagerness to learn and his humility.